against the title on my car. And they'll give you a short-term loan, and they'll charge you a huge amount of interest. So this says that this should be the last resort for a loan, because if you give them your title to your car and you don't make that payment and they're charging you really high interest, then they could take your car away. So you don't ever want to do a title loan at title companies like Title. You'll see these little storefronts, these little that says title loan companies, or this should be illegal also. Okay, so financial instruments used to secure expectations when money is borrowed. So when you borrow money, then that person that lends you the money or the bank that lends you the money, they require some paperwork. So an IOU just stands for I owe you. So it's just, if you owe somebody money, they might say, write an IOU and say, okay, you owe me at the end of the week $10 that you borrowed for lunch. And then promissory notes and loan contracts. So IOU stand for I owe you. The only requirements for an IOU is writing an amount owed between parties. So you would just write, I owe you $10. I'll give it to you Friday. You hand it to that person, and that just says that they intend to pay you back. They're very informal, and as a result can be difficult to enforce legally. So, they're just difficult to enforce because it's just kind of a handshake kind of deal. So they're commonly used in lending between people or businesses with close working relationships. So IOUs, not very widespread among more formal lending. And then promissory notes contain written promise of repayment and plans for repayment. When you get a loan at a bank, you fill out a loan application, and then they decide whether or not they're going to give you the loan or not. And if they decide to give you the loan and you go in and you have to sign loan papers or loan documents, and part of those loan documents that you sign is a promissory note. And it includes what the principal amount is. Like if you borrow $10,000 to buy a car, that's the principal amount you're borrowing. The interest rate. So they have to disclose on the promissory note what the interest rate is, whether they charged you 4%, 5%, 10%, that has to be on there. The maturity date, that's when it's going to be paid off. So if you get a loan for 4 years, then the date on that promissory note is going to be exactly 4 years from the day that you start your payments, right? Then the date and place of insurance. So if you get a car loan, you have to have insurance and an issuer's signature. So it has to have who the bank is with somebody that represents the bank's signature, or whoever's lending, whatever financial institution is lending you the money. They're often used for investing or repayment of fees like for events or medical expenses. So promissory notes might be done, it's a little bit more formal than IOUs, but included in bank loan documents is a promissory note also. And then a loan contract, and this is the most formal one, and all banks will use a loan contract. If you go to buy a house and you get a mortgage loan, they're going to have a loan contract. It's a lot of paperwork that you have to sign, but it includes the amount that's owed, the due date, in other words, when it's the payment's due, installment dates and payments, the collateral, and the collateral is what secures the loan. So if you're buying a car, the car is the collateral, because if you don't pay that loan back, they can take your car. So that's the collateral. If you're buying a house, the house is the collateral. The house is securing the loan. So if you don't make your payments in several months and you don't contact the bank and make arrangements, then they can foreclose, which means they can take your house away. Just like they can on a car loan, they can take your car, they can repossess your car. So that's what collateral is. The interest charged, how much interest they're charging you, consequences of defaulting. So they have to outline in that contract what's going to happen if you don't pay that loan. If you don't pay that loan. Late charges, so if you're late on your payment, then most banks will charge you a late fee. So you don't want to get into that where you're making late payments, like if you're paying extra fees because you forgot to make your payment or whatever. And joint and severe liability and right to transfer. It should be utilized when loans include large sums of money or when there is risk of not receiving payment. So all banks, when you get a loan at a bank, are going to have a loan contract, whether it be a credit card, a car loan, whatever it is, you're going to have a loan contract that you need to sign. You have the loan application, and that gives them information to determine whether or not they're going to give you the loan. And then if they approve the loan, then you're going to go and sign loan documents. Okay, so and all these things you need to know that are in there. You need to know what the interest rate is. You need to know how much interest you're paying. You need to understand what happens if you're late on the payments. You need to know if there's any fees, any hidden fees, so you need to be able to understand that loan contract better. Okay, so we're going to just stop here, but we're going to talk about in the next video about types of credit. We have revolving credit, which is like credit cards. Installment loans would be loans like car loans that you have the same monthly payment every month for a period of time, for a set period of time. Collateralized credit is where you have something as security. So in other words, the car or the house would be collateral for your loan. And then unsecured credit, where they're not taking anything as collateral. They're giving you a loan primarily based on your good name. You have good credit, you have a good job, so they're going to say, this person is responsible, we're going to give them the loan and we're not going to take anything as collateral. So those are the types of credit. So in the next video, we'll get into the types of credit in more detail.